of the stakes. If you weren't with us the mere matter of 1 minute ago, if AyRoK wins here, he is going to be at 3 victories, meaning that neither Ball Control nor Silvername are able to catch him in the table, meaning they will be automatically relegated. AyRoK will then find himself in the relegation bracket where he has a further opportunity to play for his safety. If AyRoK loses, then we go to tomorrow, and all things are still possible going into the matchup that Silvername still has remaining to play on Sunday. So everything still here to play for both of these players. Everything on the line. We talked about the implications of the previous series, but this one is much more cut and dry. And AyRoK has been very, very emotional throughout his last few weeks as he's seen that specter of relegation looming in his face. I can't imagine this will be any different. I think he will wear his heart on his sleeve throughout this whole series.
Yeah, and you've got to understand it, right? Like, it's his first season in GM. It's incredibly difficult to qualify. He makes it. And then he has, quite frankly, a very rough season. So, you know, he will be fighting his little heart out. Take a victory here.
His little heart out. Oh, could that have sounded any more patronizing if you tried,
It wasn't.
Raven?
It genuinely wasn't. I have no idea how tall AyRoK is. He's probably taller than me, so it probably does sound stupid coming from me, but...
Yeah.
Here, though, he has got off to a reasonable start. The cards from Warma. It's going to make things just that little bit more difficult for AyRoK, at least to plan out, right? Like, if he ever needs to trade into this card, he knows there's going to be a problem minion afterwards. And with no Ray of Frost, he can't really put a bit of a pin in it for now and then deal with it later, right? It is going to be a problem very much in the near future.
Indeed. And it does send us on the fast track express service direct to Clowntown, as both players are going to be shuffling some Solarium Primes into their deck immediately. Unless Devolving Missiles or some other solution is found to this card right now.
AyRoK, to an extent, taking the ignore approach to the card, just pretend it's not there and it won't be a problem. Yeah, we can see very quickly it's going to turn into one. Hothead as well. Going down for Warma.
This is new, by the way, right? This AyRoK pen in hand taking notes every single turn. I don't remember ever seeing this happening in the previous series that he was playing.
I was actually going to raise it as well, yeah, because I saw that as well and did think, but we got into the game a little bit too quick. But yeah, I don't think I've seen him take notes all season, so maybe take... I was going to say, maybe take a leaf out of Ball Control's book, but I'm not sure if that's a book you want to be reading right now, AyRoK. You might want to put that, send that back to the library and maybe check out something else.
100% of players who visibly took notes on stream are threatened with relegation. Coincidence? You decide.
But now there are Ray of Frosts for AyRoK, so he does have the ability, not necessarily to clean up this board, but to at least delay its impact. Ooh, okay, Devolving Missiles.
Doesn't quite have the mana to solve the problem immediately, though. There's every chance that Warma takes a value trade this turn, though, with the Astromancer Solarium.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? It's like, does the Priest player ever consider the importance of shuffling a Prime in the deck? They're normally the ones stealing these things, Subtle, so
yeah.
You know, maybe they don't consider it, because it's like, well, I'm the Priest, it's not going to happen to me.
I think they certainly should, though, because there's an enormous amount of value, but like more so than anything else, like it's just the best minion to kill this turn,
yeah,
right?
Like, it's spell damage, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen some Matrix mode before. We're going to see it again.
Oh. Kind of. Like, the 4/6 is still there, and that is a pretty huge problem right now, but the Solarium Prime devolved, not in terms of stats, but at least in terms of throwing a Prime in the deck.
Yeah, I think if you could take, like, pause the game and take AyRoK's opinion of those missiles, I think after Missile 2, he would be very happy with this outcome, right?
Yeah.
As long as one hits the Prime, then he's, or at least the Solarium, should I say, then he's alright.
Yeah, I mean, there was a 4-mana 4/6 taunt. That's a pretty juicy devolve target that he managed to miss all 3 times as well.
Gonna go for the freeze. Does have rolling fireball next turn as well, which can clean this up. The only issue will be if there's more pressure where that came from Warma, and to an extent there is, right?
There is,
just
yes.
Mass Dispel.
Exactly that. It does deny an awful lot of value here.
What?
Denying the arcane missiles might not sound like a big deal, but you'd be surprised how big an impact it has. Like, what seemed like a fairly innocuous card at first in the deck in Violet Spellwing, like, quickly materialized to be one of the highest win rate cards in the Mulligan. Like, getting that card down and getting that arcane missiles early is so key to so many game plans.
I mean, it just makes his mana giant cost one more.
Yep.
Oh, another Kaj!
Another Desk Imp!
There you go. I gave the Kaj and the Desk Imp the equal amount of respect, which
That's
probably
right.
a little bit wrong, but still.
I mean, in terms of power per mana, Desk Imp is just objectively better than Kaj.
Strictly a better card.
Yep.
Rolling Fireball still does a good job here, though, so I think it's going to be hard to ignore. Wait, it's going. It's going to go that way.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Decent chance now of clearing up with the arcane missiles. Imagine saying things out loud, Raven. Why would you even bother?
Because it's my job. Is that an okay answer?
Yes, that's fine. You may continue.
Okay, great. Ooh. Wow, Warma, although has took a good chunk of damage this game, is on his way to Stable Town right now because he's got a 4/9, big dragon coming up. He's got Soul Mirror in case of any Conjurer's Calling shenanigans.
What is, like, hello? AyRoK's just gone the other way, where all of his missiles just gravitate towards the Astromancer and ignore everything else on board.
Is that a minion we've yet to see? Like a Spell Magnet minion?
I mean, we haven't seen that, yes.
Does
I agree.
Bolf kind of count?
Yeah, I guess, to an
Ish.
extent, yeah. Not quite what you're talking about, though, is it?
No. I was ready for 3 to the right then. Oh!
Oh no 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 no! Warma nodding. Yes yes
Yeah,
yes
I was
yes
gonna
yes.
say, well, I was like, hang on, I'm enjoying this. Power Word Feast as well.
Oh, it's all ogre
The
Raven.
Desk Imp. He's gonna reign supreme. Value trade with a Desk Imp. Who would have thought?
Not me. Power of Creation now comes down, walks straight into the Cabal Acolyte combo. Yikes. Apotheosis now on top of that as well. Just fully push the tempo here for Warma, which I would like to see him do because let's not forget the Prime Clock is still there. The quicker that you can end this game or you have this insane advantage, the better it is for you because the primes are still shuffled in the deck and ready to deal with just about any situation, no matter how seemingly insurmountable it is.
I'm just sat staring at AyRoK's camera and feeling bad. Oh, wait a minute! There's a chance!
Garbage. Garbage. That's the juice. He got the Ogremancer! He cleared the board! Oh my goodness, that Prime! Absolutely absurd.
Game on!
Game on indeed. Soul Mirror is here to answer this if Warma would like to. But again, that's a huge resource that he would be committing.
He still has Death in his list, right? So he could go Cleric into Death. But then
Right.
the follow-up is relatively weak. That's the issue here. What if he can just, with 25 health, get away with just dropping Ysera?
Then he deactivates the Cleric, right? That's the problem. I was kind of thinking about that too before the draw stage came, but as soon as he drew Cleric, like, I don't think you can afford to just leave that card dead in your hand as a 1/1, so I think you have to go for it here.
What if Ysera just gives you the dragon?
I mean, yeah, that does happen some of the time. That's a real point. It's worth raising.
It might be worth raising here for Warma, as he does still have the health for Raised Dead.
Yeah.
Shadow of Death. Going to be too good to pass up here just to get rid of that Prime. But still, I think even though this is going to be cleaned up, AyRoK has to be happy because that was literally the only card that was actually going to get him back in the game, and it did.
Yes. There is another one in there, so there were 2 copies he could draw, but yeah, absolutely. It was his only out in that scenario. You just go again, right? Like, I know I can see the Soul Mirror. But you Conjurer's Calling, if you Conjurer's Calling again, you get the Dragon as well? You get enormous board state? I feel like this is kind of under-committing into quite a lot of things. I would have forced my opponent to have Soul Mirror here, I think.
Doesn't this force Soul Mirror anyway, though?
No. Like, you could just Galakrond that and be chilling. Like, you're at 26, kill one of the minions. Like, seems fine.
I guess. I just think with Giant still in the list for AyRoK, he's still got some great targets for Conjurers. If he goes all in on the board and then Soul Mirror comes out, does he just lose?
Sure.
I dream.
I think in a weird way, AyRoK's actually trying to stretch out the game so he can piece together like multiple powerful turns one after the other. Sarah awakens though.
Hello? But now what read does this give to AyRoK? Because remember, Warma had the secret to deal with as well. Like, he couldn't just rip Soul Mirror at the start of the turn because he had to dissect the secret situation. So does AyRoK think this means Soul Mirror or no Soul Mirror in hand? How scared is he of the Ysera card?
I don't think being scared of Ysera even matters because he can't deal with it, right?
Uh-huh.
So he can just forget Ysera exists for now.
Well, no, but it still changes, like, which minions you may or may not want to play, right? Whether you're scared of certain things coming out from the one dream card that Warma already has. Like, suddenly, if you're thinking about Ysera Awakens, having Raz and a bunch of 6 health minions is a lot better than, like, a Shambhala turn.
It's true. Conjurer's number 2 going to come out. Going to freeze and trade off the 2 1/1s, retain the Divine Shield on the Devout Pupil. Seems pretty good.
Surprise! It's Soul Mirror.
Is he going to try and be even greedier? Surely not,
No
right?
way.
There's too much power on the board.
Yeah, Soul Mirror is insane. Yep. All you need to know about whether that was a good turn or not is the way that AyRoK reacted to it.
Evocation off the top.
For sure. But now there's the Ysera Awakens, right? It can deal with a Shambhala board of just about any size. Speaking of which, was this not a Shambhala turn? Is that only one Ray of Frost? Is that the problem?
Potentially did use one earlier, right, on the Ysera. What if he just plays a goose?
Yeah, it's just a single copy. Okay.
True mastery takes dedication.
Charm, shield, or sparkle.
Just clean up the taunt, push some damage as well, not to be sniffed at, but also there's 6 health on this Raz. He's going to be pretty clutch right now. Spellkin into X. I guess he can just Galakrond. With
Just Galakrond, yeah.
Yeah, the Apotheosis in hand probably makes it safer, right? I think I was little bit worried about heal potential going forward.
He's still at 17, which is pretty healthy, honestly, at this point. especially against like no random spells in hand right now. Don't have to be too fearful of the burn coming down. Yikes!
Oh, wow. The 3 worst cards in combination.
There's something missing from this hand, Raven, but I can't quite piece it together. What is it?
Sticky fingers.
Ah, that's right.
What to do?
What's sick as well here for Warma is you can actually just play Spellkin and then dream it. So you can just have like tons of resources once again.
Sure.
Just means he's not going to be starved out anytime soon, even if this Ysera dies.
I wonder.
Right.
I mean, the more immediate problem is, of course, AyRoK's hand, but I'm just talking if the game does continue from Warma's point of view.
Oh no,
got
you
all
just
the-
have
all the
lethal,
value
right?
for it.
You just have lethal. You just Cobalt Spellkin into Renew and Inner Fire, and the game's over. I don't know what you're getting so complicated about.
Sure. Sal's making his call. I would love for Warma to just not play a Spellkin this turn. That would make me very happy, Warma.
No!
Just saying, I'm just saying.
Is there trouble?
Ah, imagine suggesting silly plays.
I know. Imagine
getting
saying
them
things out
wrong.
loud, right? You probably just dream it, right?
I think dream it and go face, yeah.
Like, the hand is Apprentice Cyclone, and it has to be something fairly close to that. So, Evocation top deck does make a difference here, right? If you can then go Apprentice, Evocation, one of the cards is Frost Nova, plus some other stuff, and then you end the turn with a Cyclone, like, suddenly that's a real game of Hearthstone again. It's much less like a real game of Hearthstone if they have to spend 3 on the Shambhala again.
What if you just trade? It sets some lethal. It sets some lethal, right?
Oh, this is the boring way of doing it, though, Raven.
Well, sorry. This is the unboring way of doing it. Solarian Prime. Let's go.
Okay, that's nothing. That's a thing. That's the thing. That was literally nothing. Oh, well, that was kind of underwhelming, I guess.
There's some spells, though, right?
Yeah.
Font of Power, Tome, I think, on the far left. That does at least create something for his next turn, right? With Apprentice Cyclone.
Yes.
Time runs out on me.
Okay.
Yeah, Murzon dream his own Prime back to his hand. As in dream Warma's Prime, so he can play Prime next turn.
Wait, what?
like it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cute. I like that, actually. You don't then deal with the 7/7 on the other side, though, right? It's kind of a problem.
Well, yeah, it's just, does this often deal with the 7/7 anyway? If you're dreaming it back, that's worse than dealing with it, like, or leaving it up, should I say? So I don't know.
Right.
I think I liked Warma just banking a Prime for himself there, honestly.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, actually.
And he just has an 8/8 on board as well as an additional minion, right?
Right.
Oh, here we go. Only 2 spells though. They're gonna have to be mighty powerful spells.
I don't know. Like, I still kind of want to go back to the Shambhala turn, right? Where, like, obviously Shambhala would be coming down now, and like maybe some 5/5s would be appearing, but AyRoK would also have, what, 6 less health, which means you need significantly less of this board to stick to actually end the game. And there's a freaking Potion of Illusion! Oh no!
Warma cannot believe it. That Potion of Illusion literally blew him back into his chair.
Okay. Your entity, Flame Ward, Devolving Missiles, absolutely nothing so far. Absolutely nothing so far.
Well, the Flame Ward's reasonable.
It's not enough, though. Oh my goodness, the Frost Nova!
And he just gets another Cyclone. Now he's got Fireball! What? What's going on? Wait, should he have played cards first?
That's what I'm thinking, right? Because yeah, he has a
Potion's gonna
Solarian.
happen, yeah.
Exactly, and a potion to go off at some point this game, this
He's
turn.
not gonna have the space to
Not
get
gonna
the
have
Solarian.
the space. Frostbolt though. And then yeah, the potion only gets as far as the Hogsteed.
Think this is your time? It is mine.
He's just dead, right? Oh, wave. He's got wave.
Does have wave, yeah. So now he does need to make the dream play. If he dreams his own Solarian and then waves the board on the other side, there's 5 in play, so you're at 9. Fireball deals
smite-
8 because of double
smite the
spell
apprentice.
damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it says explode.
It's lethal. The extra
lethal
spell
with the
damage was
ping,
enough
yep.
with ping. What a game! How did AyRoK come back? I'll tell you how. Multiple primes doing incredible things, and even AyRoK cannot believe it. Right when I was about to start a sentence earlier on in this game, I was saying I was looking at AyRoK's camera, and he looked devastated because it looked like an unwinnable game number 1 for him. And then Prime came strolling along like he does, thinking he's cool, and mixes up a game, and then 10 more primes come. And
What
it
are you
never
doing
ends.
right now, Raven? What are you doing? Where are you going with this? Yeah,
I don't know.
like, obviously, a lot of random nonsense contributed to how that game ended. But I called it out many turns before. Is like, some people do have this mentality of like, oh, the safest thing I can do is just to take value trades and preserve my health and, just make sure I'm playing around everything possible. Whereas, when you're playing against Mage, the safest thing you can do is just murder them quickly and efficiently. And I think because of how ridiculous that ended up being, I don't actually think anything Warma could have done there ended up mattering that much. But I think there were positions where maybe those primes could have come down 1 or 2 turns later, where him not being really aggressive with some of his resources and pushing damage and maybe dreaming the Shemvala or whatever else was that came up just so you could push damage, just might not have ended the game quickly enough. But yeah, I mean, there's no real point in analyzing what happened in that specific game of Hearthstone because that was just a disaster.
Yeah, I realistically talking on things that would have actually made an impact, the only question I would have, and I have to go back and look, is could he have dumped enough spells to give him a prime from a potion on Warma's side? So then at least he could have gone like that big Morazon turn into prime. Maybe that does enough, maybe it doesn't. But like you said, after all those shenanigans, that was actually the only real point I think that existed where Warma could have flipped the tables.
So I think that is actually as close to an objective mistake as it got in that game because he certainly could have nightmared something and then Wave of Apathy.
He had Smite as well, right?
A bare minimum. Yeah, right, exactly. He could have played Smite, Nightmare, and Wave of Apathy.
Yeah.
Those are resources that, he potentially might want at some point to end the game if the Prime just ended up doing the job and clearing the board anyway. So I get the argument. Sorry, no, it's a Murazond, right? We're talking about it's not even a Prime. So yeah, I don't think there's any real reason why you shouldn't do that to make the space in your hand to begin with off the Murazond, since you knew both things were happening with the potion. So yeah, I think the ending term was perhaps the most sketchy thing from an objective standpoint from Warma, but yeah, it's a bad beat either way that you look at it.
Agreed, yeah. Like I said, at that point, I was literally about to start a sentence saying AyRoK has no way to win this game, and then things happened. But we are moving on into game number 2, and AyRoK bringing this Druid. And it does have the Guardian Animals in, of course, but it is the King Feoris version, which basically just runs Kel'Thas, and King Feoris, and no Mount Sellers. So a little bit less of a consistent early game power play, but with much potential more late game pop-off.
And once again, it's a deck that now more than ever relies very heavily on the card overgrowth because of the added nerf to Guardian Animals, meaning that getting up to it manually with regular innovates and blooms is just way too painful. These days, you really want to be hitting that overgrowth so you can piece together some smooth turns, and right now, AyRoK is looking like he is some way away from making that happen.
And I do wonder as well, because this is a surprise lineup from AyRoK. He's historically played a lot of aggro, and I do wonder with him and Warma only having this one match this weekend as the final match, if he wanted to try and, you know, bait Warma basically and say, oh, he will think I'm playing aggro, so I will not bring aggro.
Right.
And see if it pays off for him this week. I know he did something like that a couple of weeks ago, but this looks like a last-ditch attempt.
Yeah, I think it was the very first week of round robin where he deliberately brought like Highlander Priest and some other slow decks just so he'd at least planted the seed in potential opponents' minds that he doesn't always bring aggro. Like, even if that works or not for that one individual week, I think it's just technically the correct thing to do, because you can't, you know, you can't just be pegged as bringing aggro decks every single week, right? You at least have to have that seed of doubt in your opponent's minds.
Look at this turn from Warma, though. Insane. 2 Mana Giants in hand, and potentially 2 active Mana Giants in hand if he wants to really go for it.
I mean...
Thalnos,
yeah.
and then just missiles, and kill off the Thalnos afterwards with Brain Freeze, and then go? That looks insane.
The missiles is happening. I'm 100% confident the Brain Freeze is also happening.
Yeah, draw a card. So he needs what?
Giants cost 2?
2 playables?
Yeah, you go. You go. Oh, you just go. You just go.
Go, 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 go!
Warma!
Playables! Okay. Not sure about that.
He needs one playable. He just has to Ray of Frost his own Kobold and then play.
Frost.
Yeah. He needs one playable card, and he has 2 0-mana 8/8s on the board this turn.
It'd be like he was the druid.
Yes. The game would be over. Hello.
What to do?
We just didn't want 0-mana 16/16 this turn. We just didn't want that. That's not a thing we were interested in.
Well, we were. Warma wasn't. By the sound of it. Or looks of it, should I say. Yeah, that was rough. I think if you go in for the Brain Freeze, do you think he just bailed? Do you think he just bailed because the card draw slowed him down?
I absolutely think he just ran out of time, yeah. He didn't, because there's still a decision at the end there, right? Do you double Ray of Frost first, or do you Evocation first? Like, do you want the extra space, or do you potentially want to find something better to do than Ray of Frost? So there's still a big decision to make at the end, and I think Warma just bailed on having to make it, just gave up, and here we are. Here we are. It's bad, but here we are.
Yeah, I think it was the Thalnos card draw animation takes a certain amount of time, and then that probably pushed him over the edge. Not that that's an excuse, but I think that's just what happened. And now AyRoK has pieced together a very weird way to kill the Apprentice, but he got there. Probably worth 1 thief in first.
Why wouldn't you one thief first? Yeah, like, what is going on? Obviously not first, but second. To be very specific.
Before the second Mana Giant, before someone pulls us up. Oh, I felt with the state Warma's in, like, that box might have just been the pick, honestly, this game. AyRoK, even though he's have to face these Giants a turn later than maybe he should be facing them, still has to deal with them somehow, which is going to be a little bit unfun for now. Doesn't really have anything mind-blowing to do, does he?
No.
What? He can't ever take 16, can he? I mean, he doesn't really have much choice. Wait, he's going to play Ysera?
He's just playing Ysera.
Oh!
I don't like this, honestly.
I was actually wondering whether he goes overflow this turn and then tries to get hold of stuff for next turn. Not that that's good, by the way, but it was just what I was looking at, because he can innovate and then save the bloom for the turn after, potentially.
Play perfectly, get rewarded, Raven. That's just how it works.
I've known Saul long enough to just hear it in his voice. He's annoyed, even when he's trying to not sound annoyed. It's great. that's a Conjurer's Calling that wins games. Ray Frost and the Ysera, and AyRoK pretty much has to overflow now, which he can't do because he's overloaded.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I was very surprised he even went for the Ysera. This is pretty much saying he needs the draws off the top.
Yeah.
Bog Beam, and he can taunt the Ysera up and play Teacher's Pet, but that's not even enough to get through.
How much mana do you have? We're overloaded for the 10th time.
Yeah. Look, the Iron Bark was 0. Okay.
I have to get annoyed at someone, Raven. It might just be you. Be careful. Be careful.
I'll take it. I've had years of practice at this. It's fine. Warma is going to take the victory there over AyRoK. And that was a bit of a weird game. Definitely some strange decisions from Warma. That looked pretty incorrect. I guess he did just run out of time to not get those Giants down. Because he needed one card that could be played out of a pretty large actual evocation, right? It wasn't like it was a 2-card evocation or something like that. It was big enough to have that assumption. But he did get the Giants down early enough anyway, and due to AyRoK not having hold of any early game ramp, which we've seen, it feels like way more than we have the rest of the weeks. We've seen it on this weekend of Druids just not getting ramp in time. It did just leave him with, honestly, not a lot of answers to 2 8/8s. And then, of course, the Conjurer's Card stacked on top of that. Too much to handle. The series is 1-1.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a difference it would have ended up making, but, certainly getting the Ysera down there, AyRoK's just going for some huge high roll of his own the next turn, right, where he just gets 3 or 4 dragons, maybe just immediately off the top. As it was, he got Nature Studies, which maybe could have found him some card draw to then do the same thing. It was extremely limited options for him at that point, because there were 2 8/8s on the board, and that's generally why, as a rule, you should play 8/8s against Druid when you have the opportunity to.
Agreed. Unless there's lethal on board, and then they don't do much. But the Priest is going to be the choice from Warma for the next game. And his Priest, again, we have already seen it, is the 2-off, but he's choosing to play Galakron in his list, which is becoming more and more common to be a cut. What do you make of this? Is there a specific reason that's going to pay off big time, or is this just Warma's almost a personal preference, do you think, at this point?
I mean, it's hard for me to make the argument for the other side because I'm personally a believer that Galakron isn't necessary because this deck never runs out of cards anyway. It never runs out of value anyway. So the Galakron value engine doesn't make any sense to me. I think even if you want to play Galakron, you should at least be playing 2 Invokes so that you at least have the opportunity to make Galakron a good card in and of itself, like killing 2 minions on board. Because just Galakron straight up, you don't need it as a value engine. And it's an immediate impact on the board of just killing 1 minion is very weak in most matchups now, where a lot of decks can spread wide or have 1 big threat and 3 small threats on the board in a lot of board states. So personally, I think it's quite weak, and I'd rather play just additional early game cards so you don't die to aggro, like Holy Smites and Penances and things like that. But obviously, I imagine if you ask people where they want it, you'd kind of get something very similar to the Raven quote, where, well, for just 1 card... that's
I'm not
just
the
about
only
the
person in the world who said that, Sol, okay?
The only real justification I can come up with.
Okay. So, a bad one then. Wild growth going from AyRoK. One of the few games where we see the ever, rare overgrowth and wild growth available to the Druid this weekend. So, AyRoK suddenly got game on right now, and Warma seems to have probably at least holds the record for the most hotheads played in Grandmasters.
That's
I feel
fair.
like he's played them a lot, in Priest specifically. So both players actually getting off to a quick start. The big question is, though, with the help of this Innovate, is Guardian Animals going to be enough here? With this 6/8 just staring at Warma.
That Pyro's kind of trolling, though, right? There were worlds where the 9 health minion would actually survive the Guardian Animals, whereas the 8 health minion never does. Turns out it didn't matter, since he got the Twilight Runner there anyway.
But the
Bog Beam!
I was going to say, but the Pyro does live, which is a little bit annoying, but...
Nope.
A simple spell.
Bog Beam from the top rope. Sorry, Brett's rope. The most dangerous of all ropes.
The what rope?
Brett's rope. Don't worry, 3 people got that reference. Maybe.
As in heart?
Yes. No.
people!
It cuts much deeper than that. That's not the reference. That's the easy part. You definitely have no idea what I'm talking about.
Wasn't he the one who glided in?
No, that was Shawn Michaels.
No. Didn't. Wait, I thought one ziplined in and it didn't go well.
Oh, that's his brother. That's Owen Hart.
Oh, come on.
And a very
close.
inappropriate level of conversation, Raven.
Yeah, okay, that's why I wasn't really going to talk about it. But
Yeah.
I did want to know if I was right, most importantly. The overgrowth coming out here from AyRoK. Put him straight up to 10 mana very quickly, and it doubled survival of the fittest. He just needs a form of card draw at this point.
Find out how dead you are? Well, apparently not very dead. Okay, you didn't actually get the bad news from the mind vision, but it is coming. You just got delayed for a turn! Oh, the monster draw!
Whoa.
The absolute monster draw off the top. All the Colossuses of the Moon you have ever wanted, Raven.
But does he play it? I mean, it's the perfect play into Soul Mirror, isn't it? Colossus of the Moon, immune to any removal. It isn't, obviously, but it kind of is. Okay, real talk though. Is the play? I know it looks insane, but can AyRoK take a turn off to actually play survival first and then have just additional 10 cost? Because it does buff his King Feoris as well.
Good question. Yeah, there's the upside. The additional upside of playing survival this turn is that it can't get Murazonded because they don't have enough mana to be able to do that. But like, look at the board he's just made, right? Like, I'm personally becoming a bigger and bigger fan of just saying, have Soul Mirror or lose the game. I think people don't necessarily do it enough. I think you might end up, losing some games to Soul Mirror that you might still lose to Soul Mirror later. But I think just pressing the button nice and early and making them have it is something that I'm increasingly becoming a larger fan of.
Was that really not Mass Dispel? He had the one silver bullet for Colossus of the Moon, and he didn't take it.
I mean, it's still a 10-10. Like, what?
Right, but it dies to Soul Mirror.
Sure, which you don't have. So, next plan.
But he has 2 Wave of Apathies already, with 2 more One Makers, which means it's at least 10 Wave of Apathies left.
Right.
Just accepting that this 10-10 is going to live forever.
I mean, he knows the hand, right? Like, he knows he's getting survival twice because he saw what came off the Feoris. So I think understanding that, having a Wave of Apathy every single turn is actually quite powerful. Whereas, Mass Dispel, spend all your mana that turn on just leaving all the minions up, like, you're just going to die, right?
I mean, he could still wave.
Yes,
with
but it's still not solving the problem.
Sure. The clear play was, of course, Mass Dispel into Soul Mirror, wave, boom.
Yes, no, that is definitely the line. If you can do that at will, I'm absolutely on board.
Yeah, the only problem is these waves are going to just create lethal in a roundabout way anyway, because it's effectively 15 a turn.
Yeah.
With the survival of the fittest. That's where my questions came of the plan, because yes, you Wave of Apathy, but it's not a hard stuck attack value, right? It goes 2-1 and then can be buffed.
Yup. I think the argument is largely quite similar, right? Because Master Spell draws a card, but so does the third wave of Apathy sometimes, right? If you can stall out for another turn.
Oh, he can take Colossus of the Moon now.
Okay.
You don't take the
Warma's in business.
And then
Mind Vision.
Survival of the
Try again. Broom. No broom. Okay. Did get the Survival of the Fittest consolation prize, though. It needs to be the Colossus, right? It just has to be.
Dance. Job's done.
Oop. It's the Divine Shield gun, okay.
Yeah.
Stage 1 complete. It's a 50-stage plan. Thresher just demolishes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thresher is pretty monstrous this turn.
And I think after seeing a combination of no Soul Mirror and then that play of the Acolyte Wave Desperation pull, this Thresher is incredibly safe.
Pushes 4. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yep, I think this is fine. He's not the Colossus.
He's still dead.
No, he's got Radiance.
No, he's got Radiance as well.
Oh, no, because the 5/5. It'll be a 4/4, right? And then
yeah, but
buffs
he can go Soul, Wave, and Radiance.
What
Oh, yeah.
is a loon's will?
Hello?
And then he has Survival of the Fittest the turn after.
I mean, he
Wait.
doesn't.
No.
Because he'll be under way too much pressure.
No. Doesn't he? Oh, okay, he can't. Oh. I was looking at whether he actually, like, does Wave Soul, not Soul Wave.
No. You definitely Soul first, because the Cleave helps you out as well by being a Cleave, right?
Yeah.
And you then have a Broomstick that's alive because the Cleave has happened, and it hasn't used up its attack yet because there's nothing for it to attack, so it still has Rush. So you can still just attack with it this turn. Like, this turn is insane.
Job done.
He's just winning now.
Why is Class of the Moon a 1/1?
It took me a second to process. Like, I looked at the Cleave straight away and I was like, alright, sick, yeah, the Cleave happens. But the fact that then the Broom doesn't have anything to attack, so it then still retains its Rush at the end of the turn, like, that's insane.
It beats the Death Rattle, right? Which is huge.
Yep.
Because with the Death Rattle, that is definitely spicier, right? Because then AyRoK has Survival of the Fittest with 2 minions able to get the attack in.
Exactly, yeah. And Warma knows it, again, by the way. Like, not only because he stole it, but because he saw it from the King Feoris as well, so he kind of knows what he's playing around here.
He has to take the 10 and overflow?
Just hero power it! Oh.
Yeah, you got to. This is the play.
Yeah, I guess so. Incredible.
Time waits for no one.
Still left challenged 5-5 versus the what will be a 10-6. Hailthas now. Ironbark, okay.
So you're saying there's a plan?
I mean, he has to Ironbark.
Yeah, I just mean next turn he has 2 proccers for KT into the second survival, right?
Right. Push 8 more this turn with Survival of the Fittest, I guess.
What if he just Galacrons?
Pushes
9.
9. He pushes 9, but he doesn't, like, his minions are smaller, right? Like,
But he keeps 2?
Sacrifice?
It's 1 big minion versus 2 small?
It's a good point.
And he can hero power to give himself some more options the turn after if it's not survival.
Right.
I don't...
There's still
It's tricky, actually. It's tricky.
Yeah, there's still 1 Ironbark left as well, which might mean it's more useful to just have the Galacron as that final piece of removal that you might need to be able to push through. There is another taunt to come down.
It's weird, right? Because that is completely true, and I agree. But also a second minion would help you potentially push through a taunt as well. So it's tough. This does buff the Cabal if the Galacron's not needed next turn, which I guess is what helps, right?
Yes. But yeah, I think because... I guess because Ysera is still something that your opponent needs to do. Like, we don't see the Ysera in hand, but it's still there in the deck. Like, Ysera, Ironbark are 2 cards that are still remaining, and obviously with AyRoK getting pretty low into his deck, that's something that he's probably pretty interested in doing. So Warma now preserves the Galacron to be able to deal with that. I think there are definitely good arguments for it either way. Like, it's one of those situations where you're going to think of something to play around and play around it, you know? Like, and it's not necessarily the highest odds or the right thing to do. But it just ends up being so close that it's hard to tell.
It's the strictly better card discussion, isn't it? But what if?
Oh,
It's just
that's
game.
strictly better than not drawing that card, Raven, I can tell you that much. Apotheosis off the top, and you see the different reactions between the both players. Warma can barely believe it. AyRoK is despondent, he's livid. I'm surprised his camera's still upright after that one. It looked like he was about to throw everything he owned across the room.
And
what an absolute tilter that had to be.
That's it. That's exactly. I mean, it might look like, oh, you know, he's just over exaggerating. Why is he that upset? But that was a one game for AyRoK, right? There was some very specific collection of cards that Warma needed to fight back, and even positioning of things as well, right? Of like having that broom alive as you broke down, during the turn, was a huge deal. Getting the Soul Mirror with the Wave of Apathy, so on, so on. But also, it's not as if Warma had a handful of cards, right? He was on like 3 or 4 cards throughout the whole game, obviously consistently. So it's not as if, he's got like 8 cards in hand all game. Of course, he's going to have answers. It wasn't that likely. And Warma got away with it. So it's an absolutely huge deal there. And now Warma only 1 win away from taking this series. And this would be, we've talked a lot about AyRoK in his, potential issue of having relegation on the line here. But if Warma wins, he goes up to 4 wins right now, which puts him in a much more safer position to be in playoffs as well. So yet again, another match with maybe different things on the line for these players, but important things on the line for both of them.
Yeah, another win here from Warma would put the pressure on Boston and potentially Zim as well. Actually, put the pressure on most players in terms, in terms of avoiding that relegation bracket. If he's able to reach that 4-win mark himself, in the way that the tiebreaker 2s are going to break down, but I mean, it was such a close one down to the wire as well. There's so many things that you have to look at, like AyRoK's positioning with the Lake Thresher, right? Because it was played, it wasn't from Guardian Animals, it was played manually with the Broom, so he chose where to put that on board, and it was far left where the cleave actually has an impact from Soul Mirror. That ended up being super relevant. The decision between Feoris and just playing one of his survivals could have ended up having an impact. The decision towards the end from Warma that we were still arguing about when the Apotheosis was drawn, there's so many different things that could have gone one way or the other there, but that's in the past now. We're in an entirely new game of Hearthstone. It's going to be Druid versus the Demon Hunter. Ideally, for AyRoK, this should still be the idea that this is a good matchup for his Druid. It's one of the big reasons to even keep bringing Druid, is that you think everyone will rest on their laurels and just bring Demon Hunter thinking that the Druids won't be there to terrorize them, but they absolutely are.
That's very true. I do like Warma's opening hand a lot, though. The double skull could actually come in clutch, especially because it's just sat on the left side, and it will be until cast.
Sure.
But then the combination of that, along with plenty of early game options as well. The Chaos Strike's going to cycle through.
One time. Oh.
What, you didn't want Replicatotron?
No, I wanted an Overgrowth.
Don't pick the one.
Oh, okay. That seems worthwhile clearing up. Warma going to go the other way and just drop 1 damage to the face. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't just use a Twin Slice to defend his 2-2.
Run! I will hold them off.
Proud Defender coming down as a 4/6 here. Very nice.
Can just go Twin Slice, Second Slice, Chaos Strike this turn.
I think you just play a minion and hero power it, right? I think this is fine now.
Sure.
I think it's still probably worth hero powering it, just because it might save you mana in some worlds tomorrow. Tomorrow. What? Each turn lasts exactly 1 day here in European Grandmasters.
I mean, that's what it feels like sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. It might save you some mana next turn to only need to be able to deal 2 to it, but it is a huge amount of damage to take, I will confess. Could change breakpoints on this as well. Not something that I had looked at, but it's something that could be a factor.
I also just think he could have killed it.
Yeah, I like this turn. If you can fight, like if the Druid's going to play early minions, which is kind of a weird thing for them to do, I kind of just like fighting back with the minions of your own, because then you save all this like twin slice chaos strike stuff for the blade dance that you eventually might need later on in the game, right? Which I think is fairly worthwhile.
Got some pretty good pulls, actually. Got some playables off the first skull, which is fine. Did hit Marrow Slicer, which is a big deal, but Warma will definitely want the second skull, as and when he casts it, to actually hit those the high-cost minions, right? Once the Lapidaries hit, once Kane potentially hit as well as a big target. And I guess in this list as well, Altreus is not half
I grow impatient.
Think about whether to silence and push damage, right?
Time grows short.
Really?
I mean, it also makes it not hit you for 5, which is pretty reasonable.
I guess. I don't know. Felt like 6 health, this 3-2, and this other shard shatter that you have in your hand just seemed to solve that problem pretty nicely, as far as I was concerned. I don't know.
Power. My people are addicted to it.
Well,
crucially, that interaction works in the exact method that AyRoK did it. There are certain ways where it won't happen that way. If you nature studies and then set the cost of the spell to 1, it will still cost 1. But if you use the nature studies immediately, you do then discount it to the point where it is playable. It's a pretty niche interaction, which I'm kind of happy to see that AyRoK did understand to the fullest there, was able to execute the huge Kael'thas turn.
yeah, I would hope anyone submitting KT knows it in and out, right? And anyone who's not having comfortable turns with Kael'thas, you do have to wonder whether they should put more time in or just not play it in the list, I guess. Play a different Druid list, but it is I agree. I see AyRoK, and now it's getting paid off, right? Like, look at this board. What is Warma supposed to do?
I mean, ideally, you could consume magic one of these huge minions, so it's not quite so huge anymore.
I mean, to be fair, would have still hit him for roughly the same amount of damage.
Yeah. This looks like a bit of a lost cause at the moment, though, for Warma.
Well, I think there's a reasonable... Ooh. Okay. Oh, right. I thought Warma was saying, you know what? I've got a ton of twin slices and a weapon. What if I just try and go face twice?
So you dealt, what, 8 that turn? Your opponent's at 17. All right, counting the damage. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I've run out, Raven. Where's the rest of it coming from?
It's close, isn't it?
It's pretty close, yeah.
You could skull and hope not to die. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. With the consume magic gone, there's no way to actually reduce that down either. And of course, no taunts in the deck anyway. So, one of those matchups where you can start to see the value of Magtheridon if you think you're going to face Druid, right? Like, that is a way to clear a big board. I'm not saying, oh, Warma's silly for not bringing it. I'm just pointing out the power of that card versus Altreus and the different matchups they're both good and bad in.
But again, this is the expected outcome, right? Like, I think a lot of lists were built around the idea of, oh, there's not going to be Druid this week. Like, generally, you see that pattern, right, where the players who have kind of cut all the good against Druid cards from their decks also don't have Druid in their lineup, because they've assumed everyone else thinks the same way that they do and aren't going to bring Druid.
Well, those outcast cards are a little bit too expensive. And most importantly, there's just nothing he can do about this 9/8.
Nope.
There's literally... Wait, one of those is a generated Twin Slice, right?
Correct.
So Skull into Blade Dance Twin Slice gets there.
Indeed.
Just.
Is he trying to count to 25 with twin slices and a pen flinger? I don't think it gets there somehow.
I like your style, Warma. You always got to count.
Yeah. He has to skull.
Oh!
He has to skull. Ah, the dream's dead, even if this is Blade Dance. No, it actually was! Oh, it actually was!
Insane! Oh, so close! If that wasn't... Oh, it would have actually been a clear, and then we would have had a serious game on our hands, because AyRoK's hand isn't that good.
That's ridiculous! The Soul Fragment blocks the discount on the dream 2 out of 3 cards that he needed off the Skull. He needed the runner perfect outer, and he actually hit it! But the Soul Fragment just disrupted everything for Warma there, and that means we're going to go all the way down to a game number 5, and it's going to be Priest versus Demon Hunter. And once more, because now this time, this series has been going on for quite some time, so you may have actually joined us and missed all the important information here. This is essentially a relegation decider for AyRoK. If he wins, he is safe, and he has solved the instant relegation issue for Division B completely. Both Silvername and Ball Control will be immediately relegated if AyRoK wins. If he loses, complications continue, and we have to go through to tomorrow and see the result of Silvername's match before we can actually confirm who's going to be in those automatic relegation spots.
I was just going to say, we are going through to tomorrow regardless, right? We are going to play some games out. So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, wait, so if AyRoK wins, is that just GM done with this
GM's
season?
just done.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Take a day off. But yeah, we are going to play the games out, of course, but those are the implications that Sol very nicely broke down for everyone here. But let's just dive straight in. Game number 5 between AyRoK and Warma. Warma once again, that Demon Hunter and AyRoK with the Priest. And taking a quick look at the Priest list, it seems fairly standard to me. AyRoK, another player who is also putting Galakrond in his list. Pretty solid opening for both players, actually. The ever-present combo of Draconic Studies and then Cleric of Scales follow-up is very, very nice for AyRoK. Along with some answers to early minions and the One Maker as well, means his hand is actually fleshed out pretty well. But on the other side, going for One Maker into Hero Power Panthara is actually pretty sick. And then that Skull, again, already just sitting on the left there, is in a perfect position for the late game for Warma there.
Yeah, this is a really, really smooth opener for Warma. I do think this matchup is difficult from the Demon Hunter side, but this is certainly the kind of hand that can get the job done. He is somewhat missing a weapon right now, just to really be threatening that persistent damage through the mid-game, or even just using it as that tempo tool. You know, Marrow Slicer lines up very, very nicely indeed against 3-5 Kobold Spellkins in the mid-game. So,
yep, you will take the comfort, at least, that I guess that the man, if you can't get a weapon on curve, you want to draw cards, right? So at least he has that mana feeder to just keep cycling and keep going for this, because that's like the next highest priority is just keeping that card draw going. Here though, AyRoK could just go for the Cleric and the Smite. It's a little bit awkward. Nothing really lines up so well how he used his last mana, whether he just plays Renew. It does mean he has the Cabal Acolyte plus coin next turn as well. Or now he could just go for Raise Dead and have Cabal Acolyte with that next turn. That looks okay, actually.
It does look pretty reasonable, yeah. I did wonder whether the Cleric needed to be played this turn. It is potentially just 2 missed healing over the course of the game. His next turn could have just been largely spoken for with the Kobold Spellkin anyway. But this does have the upside of giving him something potentially better to do on turn 4, and then he can keep that Dragon discount rolling into the Onyx Mage Scribe instead. So this line certainly does have upsides.
There's the weapon. A weird thought here. I don't know if it's always just swing this turn, especially knowing your opponent doesn't have weapon removal.
I agree. Yeah.
I think there's a pause that you can make as well, just for that one turn. But Warma did just want to bank that damage.
Yeah.
I just think it feels difficult to push damage there when you have no minion backup on board, and you put your opponent to 24. You know, like it doesn't feel that impactful right now for Warma.
Yeah, it's worth noting that he doesn't play Glaive Bounds in his deck, which, you know, does reduce some of the value of having a weapon already equipped, right? Like, he's not going to top deck a Glaive Bound next turn and, you know, be mandated to swing again on the following turn. So it's kind of, it comes down to, is he going to draw things, is he going to draw additional weapons, or is he going to draw things that make him wish he'd held on to the weapons here?
Right. So Twin Slice, Second Slice, Hero Power, Blade Dance does get it done whilst retaining the swing. Or at least being able to swing face, should I say. It's a lot of resources, but I think the Mage Scribe demands that respect. It's a huge minion, and if an Apotheosis lands on it, then just say goodbye to all the damage you could have done in the early game.
Yeah. And on reflection, I kind of like the way that AyRoK played this curve out. Like I said, it did carry this discount over longer term into the Onyx Mage Scribe by potentially finding something different to do on turn 4 instead of the Spellkin. And now this is a much, much bigger minion, bigger problem that Warma has to deal with.
Yeah, I like the Blade Dance here. I think not killing it is a nightmare, and not swinging face for 9 is also a nightmare. So
Agreed.
I really like this Blade Dance. Warma has the skull already for next turn if he needs it. Like, he's not running dry. He can keep going, probably get hold of another weapon in the very, very near future. There's Lapidary as well, which is pretty sick. I still think he goes for the skull this turn. He's just going to kill the 3/5. That is tempting, isn't it?
It is extremely tempting, yeah.
Oh, but it's more damage to a minion when the skull could just basically tell him how to win the game next turn. It's so close. It's so close. I don't know. I would always skull because that's just the way I play the deck. It's like if you can skull and get card draw and you're not dead, I just play it. 'Cause it opens up so many powerful turns. And this only heals for 5 if it gets an Apotheosis. I know that's not insignificant, but it's not the biggest minion in the world to deal with. It's really difficult.
I mean, there's the other line, which is just playing this and ignoring the minion and going face, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to trade. Like, this still pushes a ton of damage, and it gets the minion in play, and, you know, forces the opponent to have Shadow of Death or Wave of Apathy or something to be able to deal with this.
Very true.
Which
I like this more than trading.
Yeah, me too.
I like the skull the most, but I like this more than trading, 100%.
Right. But now, like, we haven't really talked about what AyRoK's hand looks like, but this all-in plan of just straight-up dealing damage and this very minion-like curve is really missing a trick against the double renew, double radiance hand that AyRoK has on the other side.
And again, even when I mentioned that first swing of the Marrow Slicer being questionable, I wasn't even taking AyRoK's hand at that point into account either. I'm just taking it from a pure perspective of Warma not having a minion base to work off. It has really hurt him this game, I think.
It's got to be Draconic Studies, right? Activate that Cleric of Scales again, find yourself Apotheosis or whatever else you need from your deck.
Sure. I was just looking at how Gift of Luminance and Acolyte play together. But yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, brave boy!
I love it. He's going up to 17.
Yeah. That activated the Cleric as well, since he found the Kobold Spellkin off the Raised Dead. So that is a bold call to say that you do not need that 3 health this game.
Poor Warlock.
Penflinger now. Infinite damage. That Consume Magic is pretty useful right now.
It is. It's decent draws for this turn, but not great draws from a skull, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like the Penflinger, you save 1 mana that's instantly going to you're going to have to pay for again going forward. The Consume Magic against 1 mana spell. It's going to be an awfully clean way to kill this, though. This in Chaos Strike. Still hero power as well.
Yeah, that's the other question, right? Is like, do you want to cycle the Consume Magic right now before it gets very difficult to cycle? Or would you rather hold on to the Silence effect to deal with Apotheosis so you don't have to trade into the Apotheosis minion if it comes down?
Yeah, I think if he's killing this 2/3, he holds off on the Silence. Because it shouldn't be that difficult to get to. He's drawn 2 Lapidaries already. 1 Skull's already gone. I guess Marrow Slicer or Militia are the 2 danger cards. He's just leaving it up. Oh, brave boy.
Everyone's got their big boy trousers on in this game,
yeah.
Raven.
I feel like I should step away. I don't think I'm cool enough to cast this game, or brave enough at least.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, big boy trousers are vastly superior to big boy pants.
You don't pick the wand.
And also, vastly different things depending on where in the world you live.
Yes. Warma kind of gets paid out here, though. He gets the Apotheosis, and he's going to get to be able to drop the Consume Magic on that, silencing out the Sethic. It's just how much damage this Sethic is able to do. Not literally in terms of numbers, but whether any additional dangerous spells were going to get generated there, and the answer is no.
Oh, somebody give Warma some soul fragments. Oh, every time it throws me off that philosophy goes yellow when there's no demon in hand.
Yeah, it's so dumb, right?
Every
So
single
dumb.
time.
I don't get why that happens. Consume Magic. Penflinger's back. Eldraki Warblades into the Murazon turn. Ugh. Ugh.
He's got to start doing something, though.
He does. Penflinger, Twin Slice.
Grows short.
Yeah, kind of like this. 3 more to face. Next turn now, even without Soul Fragments, he does still have a good amount of damage stacked up with the Penflingers and the second slice again alongside that Eldraki. But uh-oh. Second Apotheosis has now come into play. It's not a huge heal, but it's a relevant one.
If he mind visions into the Eldraki Warblades. Oh, hang on a minute. Lethal?
Acolyte, Radiance. Yeah, okay. Like this.
Joink it.
Dance, puppet, dance.
Warma needs fragments. He needs fragments. Sharpish.
Or Shard?
Still has both Jailers and a Marrow Slicer left remaining in his deck. And both Soul Shears as well. 2 Jailers, 2 Soul Shears, and a Marrow Slicer left remaining in his deck.
Yeah. That will get him the skull. Yep.
Yeah.
Because he has played his Consume Magic, and I believe he does not play the. Oh wow, I forgot the name of the card. The 2-mana
Maybe.
draw.
Oh,
2
Spectral
mana.
Sight. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it, Spectral Sight. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a rubbish hand, isn't it? Not much to be said about this. Like,
Yeah. There's just nothing happening here.
Maybe he just goes Penflingers and uses the philosophy to bounce, because just get it out your hand. You want a skull next
So,
turn?
yeah.
I grow impatient.
I mean, what's the alternative? He has 9 cards in hand right now. So he could still draw 2 cards from the skull right now.
Alas, poor.
Ooh.
He gets the discount on the Soul Shear. So he has now activated his hand. It's a very big deal.
He has, but with no. Yeah. I wonder if he should have just used this turn to make space. Because he never really had draws that were going to be high impact this turn with that skull anyway.
I mean, his draws were enormously high impact. He drew a Soul Shear and then played it, so he can actually do powerful things next turn.
But he could always do that then, right?
What do you mean?
Like if he skulls and gets Soul Share plus things to play, he still has the mana to play those things, right?
No. Well, if he spends 6 on Skull next turn, no. He spent 6 on Skull this turn, which means he has the entirety of next turn to actually be able to play the good cards in his hand. I actually like that play. I was just coming around to it, like counting cards, and like, well, you actually only end up burning 1 as long as you get 1 playable off the Skull. And I like because I just counted it, and it was like 2 Spirit Jailers and 2 Soul Shears that were 0 when you drew them. Like, that's insane if you draw any of those, right? Just to get them immediately in your deck. Because it's the playable that you need to get out of your hand so you don't keep overdrawing, and you
What
just
if this is
instantly
just-
activate things.
Yeah. Okay. You're bringing me around to it as well. But most importantly, it took AyRoK about 3 seconds to bring me around to just Noz Dormu.
Char Chatter, yep. Penflinger.
This is a bit of a dangerous game, Sol. Is this really the best way to do this?
No.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Is he going face? He's going face! Oh, the apotheosis! The apotheosis is just going to end it, Raven.
That can't have been the turn.
It's absolutely not, but there's a Nostormu in play. Like, come on.
Dance, puppet, dance.
Like, the Nostormu now is just going to absolutely end this game with the apotheosis. All the way back up to 24, and Warma really has nothing left apart from a straight-up burn game plan. But now he finds the blade dance off the top! Oh, did I speak too soon, Raven? Is there still actually a real-life game of Hearthstone here?
Don't try and fit in the pen flingers, just make sure you blade dance and swing face.
Yeah, this is fine.
Just
This is
do
fine.
it.
This is fine.
Oh.
As soon as he presses blade dance, he gets his rope back anyway,
Sure,
right?
sure,
So
sure,
he's
sure.
fine. He's fine.
Just a little bit worried, I think. A little bit worried.
Suddenly, just about back in it again now is AyRoK, having pushed that damage yet again. There is still a Marrow Slicer remaining. There's still that second slice in hand. There's still the persistent damage from the Penflingers. And there is still Kane left remaining in the deck as well. But outside of that, the damage is becoming very, very slim indeed. Penflinger initiation and heal. Yeah, like the stun. Very
also,
nice.
Although I'm kind of getting on board with what you were saying about the skull, he burnt a jailer, right? Which could come back to bite him a little bit for this militia. That doesn't mean the skull play was wrong. I'm just talking about the impact, right? Because right now we know Soul Mirror militia is actually pretty sick if he had the soul fragments, of course.
Can't afford to play around stuff anymore. Maximum damage just has to go face. He can't worry about Murazond or anything else now. He just has to send all the damage downtown.
I also think he needs to start getting going. I know it's a tough turn, but
yeah,
these Penflingers have to start getting played because the animations take the time as well.
Do you see what must be done?
just plays
play
pen, and then
pen,
philosophy,
and
right?
philosophy, yeah,
It's the
yeah,
best
yeah,
he can
yeah.
do. It kind of sucks because, again, there is still one Spirit Jailer left remaining in his deck, and then obviously that Philosophy duplicates the Spirit Jailer, which duplicates the Soul Fragments in the deck, which makes the Sociologist bigger, which could actually end up being relevant in the game state, but you got to do it.
I mean, he could have just twin sliced instead. One less damage.
Yeah, it's one less damage, yeah, exactly. That's the downside.
Right.
Oh! Amazing Dragonid. Still a Kane, though. 4 cards left remaining on Warma's deck. Like, AyRoK has to be thinking about Kane, surely. And right now, like, some kind of Pyromancer or Penflinger play is probably just more appropriate to deal with the Altruist rather than just playing a big taunt.
Just like Hothead, Penflinger, Hothead, Philosophy, Penflinger, right?
Penflinger, Hothead, Philosophy, Penflinger. Yeah, I like that. That sounds smooth.
Puts the taunt in the way, just like the Draconid. They're both just as weak to Kane.
Yeah.
And you get to kill the Altruist, which has got to be priority number 1.
Yeah, I like it.
A simple spell
He's just a gamer. He's just a gamer, Raven.
Is he just assuming Kane's in hand? Is that what AyRoK's doing with this play?
Oh. Spoken again! So many opportunities for more Renews and Radiances. Slowly but surely this is starting to slip away, and now there is a chance for Warma to actually push onto board if he wants to.
I think he wants to.
He wants to too.
Wants 2, 3. Is that how many
because
Things are
7,
coming down
8, 9?
It's still funny to me. It's not lethal, is it?
No. 7.
It's pretty close, though.
Indeed.
Put some soul into it.
I imagine there's going to be a boot in the 1-1.
Yep. Let's see why not.
Well,
4
we're not really
damage left to
fearful.
do.
Yep. Not fearful of the 3 damage coming his way to face anyway, so no need to try and take down the 3-5. Just poke the pesky one.
Also, only one of these 3 remaining cards, because 2 of them are soul fragments now, only one of the 3 remaining cards is actually a spell. So I feel like there was probably some value in just having another 1-1 on board right now, just to be a 1-1.
Sure. Yeah.
Radiance was hit, though, off Spellkin number 12 this game.
It was also... There was just Shadow Word Death trade Galakron that turn, which didn't look that bad. And now there just isn't.
Wait. Oh, this turn, specifically.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't... Because Galakron was drawn this turn, and I was looking at deck lists, I was like, wait, I don't remember Galakron being in the hand, and then looked up. I was like, oh,
this
right.
turn, you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
have gone Death on the 5-5, trade a 3-3. Or I guess you'd Galakron first, right, and then trade. Excuse me.
Sure.
Because you can hit both 3-3s then, right?
Right.
Wave, of course, does help, as ever, with
Yeah.
staving off some onboard aggression.
Is that a good draw or a bad draw? I'm not even sure at this point. The other 2 potential draws were Kane and Marrow Slicer. But this reactivates the Penflings?
And also, you kind of want Kane and Marrow Slicer together anyway at certain times, right?
That's fair, yeah.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Wait, what if it's actually just Shard
Shard
Shatter and
Shatter?
then double Pen Flinger on the 3-5? I can't speak, I'm sorry. I think you'll agree. It's been one of those days, Sol.
It has, yeah. Okay, there are no spells left in your deck. So these get played this turn, 100% of the time.
Yeah. And they clear the board, right? You don't want the board cleared?
Why don't they just go face?
Generation of Apotheosis, is that a thing that still exists?
I mean, yeah,
I'm
sure.
kind of being serious, right?
Right, but now, so, like, not playing around ridiculous outcomes where we could, just get into the debate of, like, well, you can generate this, you can generate that.
Right, which I
they
have
can
no interest in.
Right, if they just heal their face to 5 now, you draw Marrow Slicer, you win the game. Like, I think that's worth it. Okay, he generated a hothead. So, forget about everything we said. It doesn't matter anymore. And a renew.
And he's gonna get Apotheosis, I can feel it.
It doesn't matter. I think that's just enough on its own now. Maybe.
What?
If you go Marrow Slicer first, you don't get the... But you don't get the Marrow Slicer damage through because there's a Crimson Hothead this turn. So the most you can ever do to face in one turn from this point is 8. And he can't do that anymore. I mean, that's not enough anymore. Because AyRoK's going above that.
AyRoK needs to make a decision. Let me clear this up. Wait, did he play that? Oh, he played the Hothead first. Okay, wait, still.
Wait, he didn't heal this turn? He didn't heal this turn. So now the hero power does only take him up to 8 next turn.
But he has Galakron.
He does have Galakron, you are correct.
So Kane pushes 4. But he has to wait, right?
But from Warma's perspective, he will feel that if he waits, he has an out because he can deal 8 next turn through as many taunts as AyRoK can play. But AyRoK knows, because he knows what the 2 cards are that are remaining. AyRoK knows that Galakrond locks this up.
Especially because he can go heal Galakrond into Kayn if Kayn is played, and then embalm in on the 4/5 as well. So he can resummon next turn. But it won't matter, it's enough health. Never gets out.
Yep.
Oh,
I grow
what a series of
impatient.
Hearthstone. I feel like we've been casting this forever, but it's also gone by in 2 minutes. it's just been a crazy series with a lot on the line for these players as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I do think Warma, from his point of view, he should hold here.
Correct. Oh, AyRoK's a gamer, dude. Oh, no! Don't actually do it! Don't actually do it!
Wait, he knows. He knows how much damage exists. If
Yes.
he just heals Galakrond,
Yes!
he's fine.
He picked it up! It was in his hand! It was
What if he
nearly on
gets
the
Renew, Sol?
board!
What if he gets Renew?
It was nearly on the board!
And that's it.
Oh.
Warma knows. Warma knows. You just can't make it now.
Yeah, that's game over.
Especially because he can reactivate this hothead even if he needed to, but it doesn't matter.
Cards left. I am out
Yeah,
of
fragment,
cards.
Marrow Slicer.
Again, even though it looks kind of weird, but it wouldn't matter because this situation exists kind of anyway. But I do think Warma did part at the very end of that game pretty well, knowing exactly what he needed to do to push the damage.
Yeah, there was a few decisions about whether to maybe fight for board a little bit more aggressively. Maybe you don't use the philosophy so you can get a 4 Soul Fragment Militia very easily, right? Like, that's also an option.
It's
I
scary
guess
though,
in that
right?
scenario.
Because there's still been no Soul Mirror from AyRoK, has there?
That's true.
So if he did that and then just Soul Mirror comes down, then the game's just as lost at that
true.
point.
While we are giving up on this game, by the way, Warma did the right thing, which is actually to double trade and try and stick the Kayn for multiple turns to end up winning the game, but now that is going to signify, I believe, the end of this game, because he needs, what, an additional 9 hero powers on top of this Marrow Slicer damage to be able to get himself over the line, and that is certainly not happening in the time that he dies to fatigue and these minions on the other side.
Yeah, and there's just more cards for AyRoK now, so it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, now
Don't
you can
miss-
play it. Now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can play it.
Just
don't
don't
give me
misclick.
that there was double Renew Radiance in it the whole time, okay? Like, I understand.
Wow, big game there, and look what it means to AyRoK. It was a insane series from both players' sides, with, quite frankly, some strong play on one hand and some pretty, big mistakes on others. But that's the way this match was played out, and AyRoK ends up the victor. But it was just a nutty series of Hearthstone for every good and bad reason, I guess.
Yeah, and what that now means is Warma will find himself in the relegation bracket. AyRoK will find himself in the relegation bracket. That is locked up. It also now means that we have relegated Silvername and Boar Control for from Grandmasters. As you can see, Boar is complete and cannot get above 2 wins. Silvername only has 1 more match to play and cannot get above 2 wins. So AyRoK and Warma are now fixed in that relegation bracket positioning. They will get another chance to fight for their survival, but unfortunately, we are saying goodbye to Silvername and Boar Control. And Silvername will get his swan song tomorrow. He now gets to play again on stream. But honestly, this kind of feels like the worst way to be saying goodbye to someone, where Boar